A warm welcome to Anuradha Vedic Astrology. Today we are going to talk about the D9 and see how by applying the Amsha rulers of the D9 we should be able to understand at one glance how the marriage of a person is going to be. It's a beautiful concept, and having done it for the D10 I got great reviews and people have requested me to make it in D9, so here it's for all of you. But before we begin, a big thanks to all of you for liking, sharing and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and suggestions there. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do, and do remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the updates ASAP. Now, when we look into the D9, the Amsha rulers of D9, as I discuss in great detail in my course on divisional charts, here I will let you know very quickly and very easily how to understand what each of these Amsha rulers say. There are three Amsha rulers of the D9. Who are they? They are the Devatas, the Manush and the Rakshasas. When we talk about the Devatas, the first instance when you hear about the Devatas, you understand that their nature is very calm, their nature is giving, they are responsible, they are dutiful and they are more loving. So, how is it the nature of the marriage going to be when we are applying it to the 7th lord of the D1 or the D9? That will give me a clear picture. Devata in the Devta Amsha, so it will tell me is going to be good. The person is willing, I will have a good marriage. Why? Because it's my chart that I am seeing, and my partner will be willing to sacrifice, my partner will be willing to take up the responsibility, be happy and make things happy in the marriage. When we talk about the Manushya Amsha, for the Manushya Amsha bit, I understand as much that the person is into a mode of barter. What do you mean by barter? As I give, so I take. That means human beings have a tendency to work hard to achieve their goals. So, it's not that the person is not going to take up the responsibility of the marriage, but they expect something in exchange for the work that they have done. So, as the person takes up his responsibility for the marriage, he would also be wanting to do something, he would also be wanting to have an exchange for that marriage. Finally, when we come to the third part or the last part of Rakshashamsha. How does the Rakshashamsha work? The Rakshashamsha says that the person is ruthless. Rakshasas, when you think about them, they are ruthless. They don't care what happens, but they need to make their goals, and if they get angry, then you've had it. They don't mind butchering anybody, they don't mind killing anybody. Now, we are not going to get Rakshasas around in our neighborhood or anybody, but that is the kind of mentality a person may have if you see the 7th lord in the 7th house. Let me explain this to you better with a chart. I have a chart of a client and she told me, she did give me the permission to use it. So, I would like to thank her on this episode and tell her thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to discuss this chart. Let's look at her D1 chart first, because the D1 is the one where the story all starts to happen. When we look into the D1, you see that the Lagna Saptam is already on the Rahu Ketu axis. Not only that, there is an exalted 11th lord relating to the spouse and child sitting in the 7th house, that is the sun, and there is a retrograde Mercury which is the 9th lord sitting in the 7th house. So, we see that the marriage is as it is when you find it on a Rahu Ketu axis. I always say it's kind of a karmic relationship, okay. And then we have that then I move on to the D9 chart. Again, you have to see in the D9 that there is a sun sitting in the 7th house again. When you have this Bhav Vargottam kind of a tendency, and we will do that Vargottam tendency also some other time to understand this difference between Bhav Vargottam and Rashi Vargottam, you see that the Lagna here is that of Dhanu, that is Sagittarius, and the 7th house is that of Gemini with Sun sitting there, and the Sun is in Punarvasu Nakshatra, showing a marriage which is double marriage, repeated marriage, dual sign and Punarvasu Nakshatra, definitely telling it's a repeat marriage. She said yes to that fact. As I always keep telling you, I see nakshatras everywhere, even in the divisional charts. Now, Sun in the 7th house, I have also made a video earlier and said that it can give you a partner who is very bossy, overpowering and might burn the marriage. Apart from that, how do you see this? See, when I looked into her, when I got the Sun in the 7th house, I was a little skeptical, because Mercury also being the 12th lord, it also shows a separation. Apart from that, what I also got was, when you see the Amsha rulers, you see the Lagna of the D9 is in Rakshashamsha. Again, Sun, which is present in the 7th house in the D1 and the D9, is again in a Rakshashamsha. Here I need to tell you one thing. When you see a benefic in the Rakshashamsha, there will be problems, but not as much when you see a malefic in the Rakshashamsha. The malefic already has a propensity to do a lot of problems and it do a lot of harm, but when it is in the Rakshashamsha, it becomes dangerous. So what I asked her was that, did you have problems in marriage with relation to physical abuse? She said yes, and that is why my marriages fell apart. So this is a clue that when you see a Rakshashamsha in a chart, you need, especially relating to the 7th house and the 7th lord, or any planet which is there in the 7th house, then you need to tell the person to be careful, because that can result in a lot of problems. Again, now when we move on to the second chart, in the second chart, you will see that the person here has the Lagna in the Singha Rashi and the 7th house in Aquarius. What more, you have a Jupiter sitting in Purvabhadra Nakshatra in Aquarius. Jupiter is not good for Purvabhadra. For the 7th house. It creates major issues in the marriage, and this is a rule that I have found it working across generations, across the caste, religion, creed, etc. What more, it's the 5th lord in the 7th house. So whenever there is a rule, classic rule, that when the 5th lord is in the 7th house, there are problems post having a child. Again, when we talk about Jupiter here, look into that Jupiter which is there in the Amsha rulers. And what more, if you look into the D9, again you will find that the Lagna now changes to Cancer Lagna and Venus is there in the 7th house. All of us will say that it's Karako Bhavnashaya. On Karako Bhavnashaya, I have already made a video. But apart from that, you need to understand that when we have these kind of situations, when we have benefics in the D9 in the 7th house, we generally don't expect having a lot of problems. But when it is in the Rakshashamsa, those problems are kind of guaranteed. How can the benefics show their problems? Told you earlier that when there are benefics, problems will persist, but not in the terms of literal hitting. So in this case of the person, I just predicted that probably the person did not hit, may have raised his voice, may have raised his hand on the person concerned, but would not have hit, and that was exactly how the story turns out to be. So if you understand the Amsha rulers well, you will be able to do the prediction to the last T. That is why Amsha rulers have been given so much of prominence by in our classics, and in BPHS there are 2 whole chapters dedicated to our Amsha rulers and the divisional charts. Do write into us and let us know how you found this video. Again, if you want more, do let us know and we will make videos on other divisional charts. Till we meet with you again, stay safe. Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.